Shalom. I'd like to shout praise is due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honor to Apostle of Great Millstone, peace and blessings to the elect. My name is Colin Walk from Great Millstone, Toronto, doing this lesson. And it's going to be in regard to that book, The Golden Age of the Moor, by Ivan Sertim, a very good book. So this is going to be part 2, white slaves in Europe and the Americas. So I'm going to bring out certain points going into this book and get a couple scriptures. All right, so this is a very good PDF, or you could buy it. But I prefer you should buy it. But this is a good PDF for the Internet Archive. So says in page 170, the Golden Age of the Moor, white slavery became widespread in Spain, Africa, and the Mediterranean. The polygamous family structure, common to many African cultures, expedited the process of amalgamation. Amalgamation, and this consequence wrong wrought havoc upon the inhabitants of Al-Andalus in Spain, right? Because Jake had these harems, and basically there was all kind of stuff happening. It says lasciviousness, immorality became more and more prevalently in the Moorish social structure, right? Because Jake was getting so many of those Edomite, these so-called Slavic women, right? And Jake was doing it. Jake was having harems, right? So this is off of Chat GBT. All right, let me get this here. This is off of Chat GBT, Moorish harems, all right, off of Chat GBT. This is off the AI, right? So the Chat GBT has a lot of good information. The concept of Moorish harems is often romanticized in literature and art, but in historical reality, it refers to the private quarters of elite households in Moorish, Islamic, Iberian, and North Africa society. All right, so Jake, this is gonna happen again. All right, there's gonna be Jake is gonna have these palaces and these harems where let's read it. These spades, it says, this space were reserved for the women of the household, including wives, concubines, daughters, and female servants, and were similar to the harems system found in the broad Islamic world. All right, so that whole that harem and stuff was that was Jake. All right, let's get it. Exodus 21. Right, because you Muslims, like, you guys got your whole religion off the Moors, off the Jews, man. Right, so Exodus 21:1, and now there are judgments which thou shalt set before. If thou shalt buy a servant, 6 years he shall serve thee, and in 7 he shall go out free for nothing. Right, so this is our Hebrew servant, right? And Ishmael the Hebrew, But basically, Jake was under that whole Islamic way of life, and there are Jews, who was practicing the law, and they had harems as well, you know. So, historical context: the Moors were Muslim people of North Africa, Berbers and Arabs. Right, Arabs means mix, right? And the Berbers, there were some of them, were most of them were Muslim, but some of them were Jews as well, right? Throughout North Africa, descendants who ruled part of Spain, Aldonazos, from the 8th to the 15th century for several hundred years, right? They ruled Europe and Spain with an iron fist. Their courts, particularly in a city like Granada, Cordova, and Seville, were known for their wealth, scholarship, and refinements. So Jake was very educated. They had these universities all throughout Europe, right? Granada, Cordova, Seville, Oxford, Cambridge, right? Jake set up all these universities of higher learning, and they taught a lot of these. They taught the Edomites, a lot of knowledge. So the harems means forbidden or sacred, was a private space where women lived and were protected from public view in accordance with Islamic and cultural norms. So it says roles of women in the Moorish harems. Wives and concubine often include the women of various ethnicities, sometimes brought from Christian Europe as captive and political or political alliance. All right, so a lot of Christians, some of them were after certain wars, the Christian, they were captured. Calabar Jake was certain Jake was in power still throughout Europe, but there's a whole war, right? You had the Crusades, and during that time, so there's a lot of war during that time. So female scholarship, poets, some women in Spain or Aldonales were highly educated and influenced in literature, science, and politics. Uh, eunuchs often served as intermediaries between the harem or the outside world, right? So they had eunuchs, they had servants, and basically like the eunuchs, some of them were castrated, which was off. But when you read Songs of Solomon, when Solomon was in power, all right, he had soldiers, guarding his palaces, his harem, right, where his women were and stuff. Song of Solomon 3:7. Behold, his bed, which is Solomon's, three score valiant men about it. So that's 60 men, a valiant of Israel. They all held swords, being expert in war. Every man have in his sword upon his thigh, because of the fear in the night, right? So Solomon's men were strapped, right, and he had he had where his women were being guarded. He was being guarded. Because Solomon had over 700 wives and 300 concubines, man. And we're gonna get that. The elect, whoever the elect are, they're gonna get that, man. So that's why we're pushing. We're pushing the truth, man. Because there's so many benefits that's gonna come with the truth, man. So what the page? Yeah, page 267. Let's get that. Page 267. Slovakia. This is a very good PDF. The Golden Age of the Moor. 267 Slovakia. Very good. Very good read. Yeah, so 267. One second. Yeah, so 267, third paragraph. I'm looking for where it says. It says, in those slave markets, page 267, the Golden Age and More. In those slave markets too, white slave far outnumbered black ones. Hence, the word slave derived from Slav. This tradition of a colorblind slavery was carried on for a while at the beginning of the Columbian era, when the white slave were introduced into the Americas, right? So they're brought to the Americas, all right, where the whole 13 colonies, and Jake was ruling. The 13 colonies, basically a lot of the like Jacobites, they came to the New World and set up shop, right? So they had to bring Slavs or slaves, right? And they brought and they also had our people too, right? Because a lot of the transatlantic slave trade at the same time, and they also brought a lot of Edomites, into the Americas as slaves. But with the demand for labor to produce sugar, mushroom, it's a mushrooming, the term African and slave became synonymous in a new world, right? Because basically, we are fallen, and then that's why we were brought to the new world. And there were also Edomites or Slavs brought to the new world as well as servants, right? You know, there's a scripture, basically it says our people have become more wicked than the wicked, man. You know. What's the next one I have? Page 367. Page 367. Is that 367? No, 376. I get that. Page 376. See, a lot of knowledge, but I'm trying to find the point. 367. Jake was into the music. the art, the performance art, the coat of arms. 1 second. $367. Yeah, this is it right here. So page 367. There. Let me highlight this, like here. Okay, so this is page. It says the Moors carrying the Christian captive about the desert to the different markets. So like markets, and there can be no more mistakes about the history, which state that the thousands of Christian slaves, many of them British, were sold in the great white market of Sally, right? So no, that's in North Africa. Sorry, so a lot of Edomites was being trafficked. At least 100. Sorry, at least one historian says that the Europeans sold Europeans into slavery to the Muslim princes of North Africa and Spain. Right, Jake was ruling. Right, they were conquering you Slavs, you Edomites. Of course, not all conquered. Of course, not all conquered European became slaves. There were Europeans who converted to Islam, and some of them rose to higher rank in the Islamic society, right? So, there was a lot of Edomites that rose to high rank, right? Because they had these schools and stuff. It says from 939 AD on, Abd el-Rahman III encouraged the establishment of the system of Salantia. The Salantia made up a group of slaves from the Black Sea region, French and German Lombards and Calabrians and other Europeans who were brought as children and subsequently educated in the caliph's palace, right? So they were they were enslaving the Slavs, but they educated them and they brought him to the university. That's when Esau he started to rise up to rank, because we got too comfortable with them. They became his advisors, functionaries, and soldiers. Many of the latter attended ranks of generals. They were a favorite group, loyal to the caliph's personal, and because of their power and wealth, they formed an elite corps with Muslim society, right? So that's why, you had the Khazar Empire that rose to power, which they had the option to either to choose Islam or to choose Christianity. They chose the Torah, following the Torah, and then basically when the Ottomans rose up to power, right? Because they're the same Edomites, and they basically they're serpents, man. That's what they call the Khazar, serpent people, right? Because they basically, basically the fall of Spain, or like 1492, where the last stronghold of Granada was in Spain, 1492, and then many of the Jews had to leave Spain and go to North Africa. Some of them went to Europe, right? Went to Holland and Germany. Some of them went to England, France. They were a favorite group of loyal to the caliph, personal, and because of their power and wealth, they formed an elite corps within Muslim societies. During the 10th century, the number increased, and being at one time 15,000 of them in the Cordova. No, that's in Spain. It was the descendants of white Muslims and along with mulattoes, right? So they interbred, right? The men and the women, and that's why there are a lot of terrorists, and there's a lot of Israelites. So there's a whole melting pot of confusion. The legacy of the Muslim and the African Muslim to the European civilization has been largely ignored, hidden, denied, and those who would expose that truth of European indebtedness to the Moors have been overlooked and looked away from mainstream information, right? Because Jake was ruling shit. Jake was like in power, man. You Edomites were in a very low estate. Did I bring out 267? Page 267. Make sure. Yeah, I did. I bring out 267. All right, so I get a precept. Job 30:1. Right, Job's present state and humiliation. So Job 31. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Right, so this was when Esau, when he was known as the wild man, right, or the Slav man, the Slav man, right, and and still to this day, these Edomites sleep with their dog in their bed. They cross contaminate. They cause a lot of germs, and they're nasty. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hand profit me, in whom old age was pierced. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, in former time desolate and waste. Right, so that's when Esau was known as the wild man. Was when he lost his screws, because we draw them out of our cities, and we draw them up into the caves, man. Right, so they're known as the wild men. It's been documented, man. Read about the wild men and the Moors. I show you, man. The internet's there. The books are there. The wild men and Moors. Yeah, this was you, man. This was you, Esau. You're the wild man, man. All right, they're trying to fight the Moors, and the Moors just use those bow and arrows and and slaughtered them, man. Right? This is gonna be Esau in the future. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell on the cliffs of the valley, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. So Esau, he's a cave dweller, man. That's why his skyscrapers, his buildings are like him. It's like his home, the cave, right? He can't hide it. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nails they were gathered together. They were children of fools, children of base men. They were vile than the earth, man. That's you, right? But now, and now I'm on their song, yeah, I am their barber. So now they look after us, they laugh, they abhor me, and they flee far from me and spare not to spit in my face. This is what they do, man. They look down on us now because we're in a very low state as a nation. But the Lord he's gonna raise up his elect again. But that's pretty much it. So this is gonna be the slavery in the Europe and the America, white slavery in the Europe, white Slavs or slave history in Europe and the Americas. So with that, let us pray duty. Hawa, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash, the one to pass of great milestone, peace, better elect. So